Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of This Week in Tech, the format where we try to understand all the most important stuff that is happening in the tech world and how it's gonna impact society. So I've been doing this now for more than a month, and I realized that I never properly introduced myself. So unless you had already come across some of my content, you will have no idea of knowing who am I, why you should listen to me. So I decided to do it now. It's a little bit late, I know, but it's fine. So who am I? My name is Gianluca Mauro. I'm an entrepreneur from Italy, from Rome, even though I live in Copenhagen, in Denmark. And 5 years ago, I founded a company called AI Academy. The goal of AI Academy is to explain artificial intelligence to people in large organizations, as well as to individuals who really want to understand how this technology can be used in their career or in their company. I also wrote a book called Zero to AI that I have right here. So as you understand, I spent a lot of time caring about artificial intelligence and making it easy to understand for people. But some time ago, I realized that I was just covering a little part of the tech world. And while AI is huge, it doesn't make sense if you don't frame it in the right way, if you don't put it in the right context, which is the bigger ecosystem of what's happening in tech. And I thought that people needed some help to, first of all, stay up to date to what's happening, but also understand it. What the hell does it mean that somebody dropped an NFT? What are these things? What do they mean? How do they work? How it's gonna impact your life and society in general? So that's why I started doing all these kinds of videos. So now being said, sorry, but it was long overdue, but I had to introduce myself at some point. Let's talk about the news of the week. I'm actually very happy because a lot of the news this week are about artificial intelligence, which is, as I told you, my main field. So Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, the one that has Mark Zuckerberg, ruling it, announced two big things in AI. One is a new model called Data 2Vec that is super cool. I'm gonna tell you everything about it. And then a giant AI supercomputer, big computer made specifically for AI. Then we're gonna talk about Instagram. So we're gonna stay in Zuck's house. They launched a new function to allow creators monetize the followers and ask them for money for a monthly subscription. Then we're gonna go to Amazon and we're gonna see how and why they're planning to open a big store for fashion to sell clothes, like a physical store, which is kind of weird for a company like Amazon, right? But you're gonna understand why it makes a lot of sense and why retailers should be actually a tiny bit scared. Then last but not least, we're gonna talk about the plans of the European Union to become a chips powerhouse. So to produce these little chips that power whatever device you're watching this video from, the smartphone that I use to record this, probably also this mic somewhere, everything that we use in our lives. So there's a lot of stuff. Let's get started. Last week, Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, made some pretty big announcements in the field of artificial intelligence. The first one is a super cool model called Data 2Vec. Sounds very uninspiring, but what it does is actually pretty cool, so follow me. So we as humans have this super powerful thing called the brain that allows us to learn from all sorts of inputs. You can learn visually, you can look at things and learn what they are. You can learn from text, you can learn from sounds, so hearing me speaking, hopefully you're learning something. But AI models are not like this. AI models need to be specifically designed and trained for one task. So a model that learns what images are can't be used for text. It has to be adapted. Maybe you need to change the architecture of the model. For sure, you need to change the way it's trained, etc., etc. And that's a big problem because if you want to use AI models to understand the real world, let's say with some super fancy augmented reality glasses that look at what's happening and hear you and evolve with whatever you are doing, you need some algorithms that can learn from all these kinds of data. And that's exactly what Meta has announced. There's this new model called Data 2Vec that allows them to use all sorts of data, basically speech, so sound, text, or images, and still retain the same training system and the same model to learn how to do specific tasks. This is not perfect yet, because a model that has learned how to interpret images still will have to be retrained to understand text. But the cool thing is that you can still use the same methods and the same architecture to do both kinds of tasks. So Meta, formerly known as Facebook, has invested a lot of money in AI research. And this thing that I'm telling you about, it's huge. It costs a lot of time, money, and resources. Why do they want to do this? Why are they interested in it? Well, Mark Zuckerberg obviously said it's for the metaverse. And he made an example. He said, imagine if you have some AR glasses that have a microphone, can hear what you're saying, and a camera that can see what you're doing. Imagine if you're cooking a recipe and you're missing an ingredient. These AR glasses can read the recipe, so use text to understand how the recipe should be done. They can look at whatever you're doing and so interpret how you're cooking, find that there's a missing ingredient, and then tell you about it with some sounds, and then interpret maybe what the kind of feedback that you say. Let's say it tells you, hey, you didn't put enough sugar. Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to be on a diet. These AI models will be able to do all of these things at the same time. So that's the promise. The promise is to build these super cool experiences. But that's not the only thing that Facebook announced. They also announced a new AI supercomputer called the AI Research Supercluster. That is a big, giant computer. You don't have to imagine like a box. You have to imagine like a building that is a computer that is specifically designed to train AI algorithms. And that is super cool. The system is gonna have, by the end of 2022, 16,000 GPUs that are some very specific kinds of hardware that are really good at training AI algorithms, and it's gonna be probably the fastest AI supercomputer in the world. They said a bunch of cool stuff in their announcement. One of these things is that this computer is designed also to use the kind of data that Facebook collects in the real world, which basically means your data and my data, all the stuff that we do on social media. But they said, hey, no worries, we cared about encryption and safety and privacy from the get-go. So what they did is they designed a system where the data is always encrypted as it goes from Facebook servers to this giant supercomputer, and it gets decrypted just in the last moment before the AI model starts learning from it, which is pretty cool, but it also tells us something interesting. All these systems, all these computers make sense just if you have a huge amount of data, like Facebook. And this brings me to the last point, which is AI, some time ago, was pretty democratic. It was very easy and cheap to try to develop new AI systems. Today, there's kind of a shift that I'm seeing. There's the simple, traditional AI models that are they're becoming super easy to do, super cheap. Anybody can do that. So that's always more and more democratic. But the AI research is becoming so complex to do that just companies with huge budgets like Facebook, Amazon, Google, all these guys can really afford to do this sort of research. I mean, that computer must have costed something like hundreds of millions. They had to design everything from scratch. They used some NVIDIA chips, so some chips that already exist, but they had to design new cooling systems, new ways to plug them together, the whole bit. It was crazy. Who else can sustain this kind of costs? And you know how much that thing is going to consume? The electricity bill is going to be insane. And in fact, all the climate impact of this AI research is a whole different story that we could talk about for days. But the concept that I want to tell you today, because it's very linked to both announcements from Meta, is that now just Facebook or Google or Amazon can do this kind of research. People like me are kind of cut off because the game is about bigger models and more data. So cool for AI research, cool for all the world. I hope that Facebook is going to open source whatever the hell they're going to do with this giant computer with these new models. So Gianluca likes this, but Gianluca doesn't like that this field is becoming always more and more elitist, always less accessible to people like me. Let's stay in Zach's house for a little bit more. I want to tell you about the new announcement that Instagram has made. Instagram decided to launch a new feature called subscriptions that is going to allow anybody, any creator, anybody with an Instagram account to ask for money to the followers to offer them what? Well, exclusive stories, exclusive lives, and a badge that is going to appear next to their name when they make comments on the creator's posts, telling everybody, hey, this guy is a paying subscriber, is cooler than everybody else. So creators are going to have a new way to monetize. They're going to be able to charge anything from 99 cents to $99 per month to make money from their existing audience. The head of Instagram, whose name is Adam Mosseri, also announced that they're going to allow creators to export the list of their subscribers outside of Instagram, which was unthinkable some time ago. So what is happening? I think what's happening now is really important for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different industries. What is happening today in social media, I think, is that there is competition. TikTok, we talked about it some weeks ago, they started allowing their creators to make money by selling the recipes if you're a creator that makes food videos. So you have a new viral video of a new dish, TikTok is going to produce that dish, selling to everybody that wants to buy it in the United States, and you're going to make a little cut out of it. Well, what happens if creators have a way to make more money on TikTok than on Instagram? They're gonna stop using Zach's app. They don't care about Zach. They care about having an audience, and they care about making a living off of that audience. So now Instagram says, Jesus Christ, we have competition. We never done this. We've always been kind of the kings here. And now this TikTok that is trying to get our creators, damn, we need to find a way to make it cool for creators, to make it sustainable, to make it economically viable for all these creators to be on our platform. And subscription is a huge step in this direction. Also because so far the experience has been super weird. You have to admit, creators give you everything for free on Instagram, and then they try to bring you outside of Instagram to their platforms where they're gonna try to monetize some exclusive content. I've done that as well. It's usually weird because it's not nice for anybody, right? So now Instagram is gonna allow anybody to make money in a much simpler way. And this has also an impact on what people refer today as Web 3. You've probably heard about Web 3 before. In really a few words, it's about a new kind of internet that leverages the power of cryptocurrency to take a little bit of the power away from these giant platforms and give it back to creators. So as social media in the Web 3 ecosystem, simplifying a lot, will be something where you get some crypto back every time that people share your posts or something like this. And the idea behind Web3, the whole reason why people are building these technologies is because they say that platforms got all the value from the creators, and creators were left with followers, sure, but the big money stayed in the platforms. And I'm starting to think that this issue, which is an issue by the way, is not because of how Web 2 is built. It's just because there was a lack of competition. Because honestly, if I have a way to charge people to allow me to monetize some of my content natively on Instagram, well then I don't need any cool fancy Web 3 crypto application. I'm just gonna make money out of there. It's about sharing the pie. It's about creating an economy in social media that both the platforms and the creators can make money from, can make a living from. That's just my idea for today. So I like this thing. Tell me what you think. Amazon announced plans to open this year a new store, like a physical one, the ones you can walk into, called Amazon Style. It's going to be open in California. It's going to be huge, 2,600 square meters, and you're going to be able to shop all sorts of clothing ranging from $10 up to $400. The store is going to be kind of an extension of the Amazon website experience. You're going to be able to walk in using your Amazon shopping app, select items you want to try, and these items are going to be shipped to a fitting room where you can try them. When you walk into the fitting room and you try these items, you're gonna also be able to get recommendations on your Amazon shopping app, or maybe on some screens they're gonna put there. I think they're gonna come up with crazy technology, to be honest, but you're gonna be able to be held by Amazon powerful AI recommender algorithms to pick your clothes. You're also gonna be able to ask for additional styles, additional sizes, colors, different models. They're gonna be brought to you in a matter of minutes so you can try them on. So let's stop for a second. If you think about it, this is kind of weird. The main power of Amazon has been the fact that it was an internet company. It sold stuff on the internet. It didn't have big stores. That was a liability that companies like Walmart had. So now why is Amazon getting into the retail business? And why are they gonna win compared to, all the other companies like Zara and H&M? Well, I think that what's happening now is that Amazon is taking all the goodies from the internet and is gonna bring it to the real world. Think about this. Amazon is gonna link your Amazon shopping app to whatever you do in the store. So whenever you walk in, they already know you. They know everything you shop on the app. They know what to recommend you. They know everything about you already, and they're gonna leverage this power, this data, to give you the recommendations that you need to buy more. But also, another point, Amazon has so much data from what people have bought on the platform, right? That means that they know what kind of products they need to put into their stores. Also from the staffing point of view, so the kind of products that you sell, Amazon has so much data that Zara and H&M just doesn't have. And last but not least, Amazon has become a champion in efficiency. I think I read some data about how long does it take for an Amazon order from the moment you just click buy to the moment it's loaded on the truck, and it's like minutes. Now, imagine the same power applied to a store. They said that if you want something more, if you want a new size or new color of a t-shirt, they will be able to bring it to you, maybe using some robots even. I don't know, we'll see. I can bet there's gonna be some robotics involved, and you're gonna be able to try the new kind of t-shirt. So they are leveraging all this experience that they had to build a new, different, more powerful retail experience. Now, this is gonna be even a bigger problem for all the companies that are not Amazon, basically. They've been struggling already to compete with the giant from Seattle. And now it's going to be even harder. It's going to be more complicated. And I don't like that. Gianluca doesn't like this. It really seems to me like Amazon's strategy in the last few years has been to dominate everything, from healthcare to retail to even just fresh produce. You can buy now carrots in some Amazon stores around the US and the UK. And if this product is gonna work, and spoiler, it's gonna work, I think this is actually gonna make a lot of money, then they're gonna expand to even more industries, and even more traditional stores are gonna be in trouble. So when is Jeff gonna stop? Last news of the week, the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, announced the European Chips Act. So chips are the microchips, the kind of stuff that powers the device where you're watching this video from, the device that I am recording this video from, everything digital that we use today. So today, in 2022, just 10% of the total world production of chips happens in Europe. Most of it happens in China. Now, during the pandemic, there have been quite a few problems. There have been chip shortages that made a lot of companies lose a lot of money, but also created a lot of issues to us consumers. So I know people that bought a new car and they had delays of months because the car companies couldn't get the chips to power all the digital stuff that happen in a car today. It's a pretty big deal because your entire industry, the entire European industry, depends on chips, from car manufacturers to whoever produces dishwashers, really anything. Everything today uses chips. And now you're depending from a production that happens mostly in China. So Ursula said that they're gonna boost the production of chips to get to 20% of the chips production happening in Europe between now and 2030. But that's not just doubling from 10% to 20%, because in the meantime, the demand for chips is going to double as well. So actually, what von der Leyen has been saying is that they're going to push by 400 times the production of chips that happens in Europe. And how they're going to do it? They're going to do this by increasing research, by increasing the collaboration of the public sector with the private sector, by adding new, more efficient manufacturing solutions, and helping as well with the supply chain. I think this is going to be really important for Europe, but for any state in the future. You know, there's a lot of political tension happening now with China, Russia, Ukraine. It's pretty complicated from the geopolitical point of view, and our entire industry depends on chips because everything is electronic, everything is digital, so depending from them is not great. So this sort of new autarky of chip manufacturing, I think is going to be really good for Europe in the long term, so I approve. That's it for this week. Lots of interesting stuff, right? So I really hope that you're gonna find some of these things interesting. And if you do, please comment on this video. Let me know your thoughts. Express your opinions. All this tech stuff affects all of us. All of us. Me, you, your friends, my friends. So we all have to contribute to the conversation. So share this video if you found that interesting and participate in the conversation. Now, as usual, I'm gonna leave you to some chill guitar playing because I really like it. And I hope you do as well. Ciao, see you next week.